Good evening, fellow entrepreneurs, small business owners, and side hustlers. My name is Ntokozo, and welcome once again to another fantastic episode of the Business Forecast. That's right, it's the Entrepreneurs Podcast. It's the show that gets you connected to a wide array of business professionals, successful entrepreneurs, and people who are key members in the SME ecosystem. And all of them are here to help you get your business to the next level. Our show, of course, is brought to you by Filigree Innovations, and we are a community of SMEs that are coming together, building networks, and we're trying to get our businesses to the next level together. On Facebook, we do have a group called Let's Talk Business and Help Each One Grow South Africa, which has 318,000 members currently, and we're just trying to create a show that's going to give you guys the knowledge that you need to get your businesses to the next level. It's been wonderful, it's been epic, it's been beautiful, and today we have another great episode for you. It is episode 8, and today we're going to be talking about something that's so important and so key as an SME during these times, and that is digital marketing and e-commerce. Some people don't know what that is, some people do, some people want to know more about it, but we're here with somebody who is an expert in this particular field. She is, of course, 9-time award-winning entrepreneur and businesswoman called Cleo Johnson. And last year, actually, this is quite amazing. She was, one of Forbes Africa's 30 under 30, and that's big. And considered one of the most influential young entrepreneurs in Africa. So it's such an honor to have her with us here today. I really believe what she's going to say to us is going to help us out on this journey of digital marketing. And yeah, it's going to be great. A lot of people wonder, I know they tell me I need to be online. I know they tell me I need to do some digital marketing, but I don't know where to start. Well, we brought to you someone who's going to give you a masterclass in that particular topic. Yes, without any further ado, I'd like everybody to help me welcome to the studio, Cleo Johnson. Oh, Cleo, it's so great to have you with us on the studio of the Business Forecast. It's amazing what you've accomplished, in the last 9 years. I believe you've got 9 years experience in this particular field. You've been shining the torch very high for us. And yeah, it's an honor to have you on the show.
No, thank you so much for having me this evening, Ntokozo. It's really an honor. And I know we've been on 2 different webinars together, and that's how we got acquainted. So super excited to be able to share some of my knowledge, and very daunting when you call me an expert. I'm not going to go down that route. Let's just go about knowledgeable. We'll go with knowledgeable. But yeah, just to give some background, I guess, like you had mentioned, I have been in the industry for 9 years. I've been running my company Nuclear for the last 5 years. We turned 5 in February this year. And so essentially I specialize in marketing, both within the hospitality industry as well as outside, and also in e-commerce. So those are really my 3 pillars that I really focus on when it comes to my business. So yeah.
Oh, awesome stuff. I think that already gives an idea, to our audience in terms of our viewers, rather, in terms of what they can expect from you. 9 years is not a small amount of time, and if you've been doing this, continually and with a degree of success, I feel like there's always so much that you can impart to other people who are looking at this journey and wondering where to start, who are failing at it, and who need a bit of a boost. So, I think it's really going to be great to hear what you have to say. But before we get into it, I know you gave us a little, a bit about yourself, but maybe you can go a bit into how you got into the industry, how you even got to a place where you were so recognized, or your achievements were so recognized that you were, even on Forbes 30 list. Maybe just 1 minute or 30 seconds to 1 minute about yourself, so that we can know who we're talking to.
Like I mentioned, I actually had studied hospitality management. I was with the likes of Radisson and Marriott, and briefly with the one and only as well. And around about the beginning of 2017, I technically resigned from my job, but it was like, I don't want to call it an accidental resignation. There was just some things that were happening. So I was like, cool, I decided to leave. And I thought I was going to go backpack through India. And I always say God has a sense of humor with me. And through a meeting at Starbucks with somebody that was sitting opposite me, I somehow started my freelance journey, which then quickly spiraled into actually having a company. And I want to say, I think probably I don't think it was something I realized from the beginning, because I don't think we ever go into this thinking, oh, we're going to win awards and we want to do it for the recognition. For me, I just knew I needed to make it, because obviously I needed a source of income in the beginning. But I knew there were certain things that I kind of established from the get-go. I was going to work hard. I wanted to do things the right way. So everything just had integrity and kind of woven into it. But the big thing for me was impact. It's, again, something that I was brought up, I guess, within my faith, that my businesses aren't for me, it's always to help another person. So through that, I had launched my internships, and I always just try to give guidance to a lot of other people. And funny enough, I guess what I did out of the goodness of my heart is what got me recognized. And I think the first award was Mail and Guardian. And I think from there it just kind of snowballed, because then I started getting recognition from it's called MEA Markets. It's the Middle East and Africa Markets magazine. They've picked me up for, I think, about like 3 or 4 awards already, just in different categories over the past couple of months. And yeah, from there, again, I guess that hit onto Forbes, and then that hit onto top 50 CEOs in Africa, and then top 100 influential young people in Africa. So it's really just created this whole snowball effect. But yeah, essentially, I think it always just boils down to impact and what are you really doing this for. So yeah.
Oh wow, that's so interesting. No, but that's really awesome. And I feel like a lot of people end up being such huge successes. It was some sort of an accidental, sort of a thing where, because I mean, this is life, we go through different paths and different things to end up, locating what it is that we're supposed to be doing. I think it's beautiful that you were able to find it, because I mean, you only get recognition when you're impactful. I always say that, business is supposed to be something that adds value. And I believe that the fact that you are being recognized the way you are is because, you've added value to so many different kinds of people, which is why, again, we're so, eager to hear a bit more, from you. So I don't think today I actually said the topic. Sorry about that. So today we're talking about digital marketing and e-commerce for SMEs. Now, I really believe that you got in this industry at like one of the best times, because every piece of research that I do on this is saying this subject of digital marketing or having an online presence for small businesses is something that's still going to be around for decades to come, and that it's good for you or a small business to be embedded in understanding what it is and start becoming an expert at it in order for their business to succeed in this particular, they've called it the fourth industrial revolution. But I mean, I guess we can go into, the questions that we have concerning that. And we just want to start it just at the beginning. What is it? What is digital marketing and why is it important? Like I said, I've read so many places where we know it's important, but, maybe you can give us just a brief overview of what it is and why is it important for a small business owner?
Sure. I guess in like layman's terms, essentially, digital marketing is marketing that essentially like is delivered on an electronic device. So it's your marketing campaigns that you will get on a computer, a tablet, a cell phone, any other electronic device really. But it comes in the form of online videos. So what you would see on YouTube, your paid media ads, social media posts, the normal organic stuff that you just post online without boosting it or advertising it. You've got, search engine marketing as well, display ads. So, it comes in quite a few forms. And with digital marketing, and I think this is why it's so important for small businesses, it's really leveled the playing field for us. Where, with traditional marketing, it's your TV, your magazine ads or newspaper ads, billboards and that. And those are super expensive if you know like the cost, what it is to be online for 30 seconds, for example. Where with, digital marketing, you can have an ad budget spend of 50 Rand a day. So it's really also allowed you to broaden your network as well as your customer base, because as much as you think, I'm based in Gordons Bay, for example, and I assume that's just going to be my customer base, I reach a large network of people, not only within South Africa, but internationally as well. And that's just through marketing on like through social platforms, for example. So as a small business, I mean, these things are free to you essentially in terms of listing it and being able to create a community and converse online. That is what I think really adds impact to digital marketing, is that there's the behind the scenes of essentially building a community and being able to leverage that at the end of the day as well. There's quite a little bit of a niche to it, or I guess a nuance to it, that you can essentially get, again, if you had 100 people in your area, you are now exposed to 100,000 people for an X amount of money. I mean, it could be 1,000 Rand a month, for example. But yeah, I hope that kind of clarifies how it does play an important role in really essentially getting your business out there.
Shoot, I really, really love that. I especially love how you said it levels the playing field. I mean, I think that's so beautiful in the fact that usually anything to do with advertising, we knew as small business owners we can't even start doing it or doing it in an impactful manner. But like you're saying, digital marketing actually gives you the platform to reach thousands and thousands of people for a small amount of money. And I think it then begs the question on my side then that I've seen. Okay, let me be honest. I've experienced times where I've tried to, to boost my posts, to create an advert and boost my posts and things along those lines. And I mean, yes, Facebook was telling me that I was reaching X amount of people, but it wasn't really effective in terms of conversion, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why maybe some people who have tried it get a bit discouraged. Because I mean, I've tried it, still didn't get any customers from it, so it doesn't work. What would you say to someone who's in that position? Is it an issue? Maybe they need to fix their poster, maybe they need a professional to design their posters, or is it one of those things where you just need to be consistent before you actually, make a breakthrough? Which one would you think is probably the cause of that?
So funny enough, so I had this conversation last week. There's a lot of foundational things in marketing that you need to get right with your business. I always say you work from the back to the front. So the poster for me is like literally the last thing you need to worry about right now. My aim is, for example, if you're running an ad, what is the end result? Do you want the person to be able to buy on your site? Do you want them to fill out a form and get the email address? What is the end goal? And also, how are you enticing them? So if I need to hand over my information, what are you giving me in return? Do I get a voucher? Do I get some form of a lead magnet? So, are you giving me an ebook? Are you giving me like a 30-minute webinar? Is there's a give and take? Because at the end of the day, data is, there's a price to it essentially. There needs to be some payoff for you in order for you to get my information. Another thing is also if I am, for example, you talking about conversion. So if you want to sell a product, who are you targeting? Because you're not there for everyone. You also need to I want to say get down to the nitty gritty and understand who is your niche, who's your market, who you're actually targeting, who are you solving a problem for. I think people are so quick to say, I installed DSTV satellite dishes, but for what area? Why are you doing it? How are you more affordable than the competitor down the street? These are the things that need to come across in your marketing. So before anything else, and also where on the platforms that you're sending them onto the back end, sorry. Again, like I said, is it a landing page? Is your website optimized? Is it easy to use on your phone? There's so many things that also deter people from completing a transaction, and these are the things that you need to be able to monitor. But with digital and I guess with everything that being online, it's easier to track. You just need to understand, the numbers that you're reading essentially. That's why I said, like, for me, a post is really the last thing down the line that you need to look at. And yes, let it be aesthetically pleasing, make sure the fonts aren't like horrible and gaudy and, the colors complement each other. I mean, you can literally Google like the psychology of colors and you can see that red, it's something that's a bit of an enticing color, but there is some, hindrance behind it. Yellow, blue is a very calming. So these things also go into your branding. So there's a lot that you need to get done on a foundational level before we even jump into ads and, getting your name out there and, you wanting a certain action to be done by your potential customer essentially.
Sure. Wow. Thanks for that. I think that's so detailed in terms of, the various aspects that are involved in this thing called digital marketing. Because again, some people, I put my post on WhatsApp, I put my post on Facebook. When it's not working, I feel like it just doesn't work. And as you put it, there's so many other things that a person needs to take into account before they actually start this journey, which I mean leads me to the next question that we had for you, in terms of how to start this particular journey. I know you've got, you've covered a bit of it, but let's just use an example. Like I'm starting now, I've got a business, I'm installing DSTV, satellites and decoders in a particular area, and I want to start using digital. Where do I start? Is it my website? Is it opening a Facebook page, an Insta page, a Twitter page? Is it going on to LinkedIn? What would you say are the basic fundamental steps to take when you're starting this journey of digital marketing?
Got it. So I think see how I'm going to unpack this first, because I also want to say before, like also just with picking a social media channel or social media channels, depending, it's also, are you a B2B, a B2C, are you both? Because obviously each channel has, a specific audience. So for example, like Facebook is like, again, I want to say it's like not a one size fits all. You can be a B2B and a B2C on Facebook. With LinkedIn, I always recommend that it's a B2B unless you are doing, like, obviously, like if I was pushing my own personal brand and what I do, great, I can also push that on, from a LinkedIn side. But essentially, and these things are Googleable, like really it is. If you want to say you're B2B, what are the best platforms? That would be your LinkedIn. Again, Twitter is more for conversation. So, are you joining a conversation pertaining to your industry? So again, as well, it really depends what you're offering. So be it the product or service. But essentially, if you want to say let's start with a Google business listing. And this obviously assists with local SEO. So essentially, if people Google, for example, if you are a catering or, a bar or a restaurant, and people normally say, let's say Chinese restaurants in my area, it will bring you up because you are registered in that area. So essentially local SEO really helps with that. And a Google business listing does help with that. This is over and above having a website. You can post updates to your Google business listing. People can obviously review, your company via Google business listing as well. So like, it's really, and it's free. It's really a great channel to use because I know if somebody tells me, there's a girl who does lashes, I'm immediately going to go and look, does she have an Instagram? Does she have Facebook? Have people commented or reviewed her? Because I want to know. So I always recommend Facebook and Instagram. And also when it comes to advertising, they really are the cheapest. Obviously, they're owned by the same company, so you can do the cross-platform advertising. But essentially, those are your two main ones. Again, when it comes to TikTok, that is for your Gen Z. Again, you can do products and services on there, it's fine, but it's more of your Gen Z market. And you need to be able to create video content. So are you also willing? Are you able? And also, are you comfortable? I know I'm not somebody that's super comfortable doing videos. So I find other ways to be able to generate video content, whether it be from doing lives like this, for example, and I snip up my content. But I find other alternatives in that sense. So essentially, I would say Google business listing, then have your Facebook, Instagram, and then again with Pinterest, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. And again, with WhatsApp as well. Just kind of see how it also fits into your business. With WhatsApp, again, if you're a service business, I would recommend doing that. I know there are some people that sell through WhatsApp, essentially in terms of like physical products, because they've got a catalog. But essentially, your WhatsApp is more to, kind of converse and be able to either one, make bookings, or two, just be able to chat live with your customers. But there is actually, funny enough, a platform that I discovered last week, Thursday, Friday. I had a meeting with them, Fiverr Pay. So it's actually quite helpful, especially I want to call it for like the township economy and those that aren't necessarily in a position to, start a Shopify store and buy a domain and. With Fiverr Pay, you are able to complete your transaction and people are able to shop your catalog in WhatsApp, Instagram DMs, and Facebook Messenger. And I find it super revolutionary at the moment because, Fiverr Pay, so FIVVO Pay. But yeah, so really amazing concept as well. So for me, I'm just like, I cannot wait until it like really jumps off. Because that's something that's really going to help, especially in South Africa. And I think I've spoken this on my podcast as well. Barrier to entry is fine. Like, it's really super easy to get an online store, but it's a matter of, cash. Not everyone in South Africa essentially has, the same savings or the same income every month that they are able to start an online store or start drop shipping. So I love the fact that there are solutions that are coming to the market now that can assist somebody who is, like, for example, doing, Cook Sisters, for example, once a week, and people can actually just order through WhatsApp and pay online. So yeah. Sorry, I know into a bit of a tangent, but I just had to give that solution.
No, not at all. I mean, this is why you're here. Well, thank you so much for that. That's so much information and practical things. I know I'm here taking notes myself because I really like a lot of these things I didn't know. Like you mentioned SEO, and I believe that's search engine optimization, and you mentioned local Google business listing, right?
Yeah. So that's
I
essentially just
didn't
your
know what
normal
that
Google
was.
business listing. But yeah, so, and another thing, sorry, we're speaking about podcasts. So many people think you need, extreme equipment, microphones. And I started my podcast with my cell phone and my earphones. You just get Anchor FM. It pushes out your podcast to, Spotify, Apple, Google. And I feel like there's a fourth one. But essentially, it's free. You just need an internet connection. Done. That's how I started my podcast. And
Phew.
so there's so many ways. I think that's the thing. Guys, Google is literally your best friend. That and Instagram. I find most of my resources on there, and from there I can go on and go down my research rabbit hole essentially. But if anyone knows me, I've always said I've bootstrapped all my businesses. I will only fork out money once I've made a success of something. out of nothing, essentially, because I want to know at least I've made it. I don't want to take someone else's money and say, yeah, bank on me, and then it doesn't come through. So I want to see how far I can take it before I get people's funding on board.
Phew, wow. No, thank you. Thank you for that. Google business listing, starting a podcast, these are things that I feel like when you hear them before this, when I would hear them, I'd be so intimidated. Sorry. Even, hearing a word like SEO, it's like, oh my goodness, these are like professional terms. I don't even want to get started there because it just feels like I'm way out of my depth, or it feels as though it's going to be too expensive. But I really think it's awesome that you're mentioning them, in a new light, that, even if you're starting out, even if you're bootstrapping your business, essentially meaning, using your own money, to put it in your business, it's possible to start accessing these things, which we believe were actually, only for the elite. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. And just a reminder to those who are watching us live, thank you for coming through. And if you have any questions for Cleo, please make sure that you send them through. But yeah, on my side, I'm going to keep going on. So when it comes to, you've mentioned a lot of the tools that exist out there and, that you've tried out. Maybe if you had to pick one or two that you found have been the most successful for you, which one would they be? Like which digital marketing tools or avenues or things along those lines that work for you specifically? I know it's probably different for different kinds of businesses, but what are some of the ones that have worked very well for you?
I think what's really worked for me, and I've also had this challenge, I want to say, over the last 5 years, because again, I've got a personal brand, but I'm also so closely tied to my company because I'm the face of it. So Instagram for me has been super instrumental. I've built my community there. I know other people have built like Twitter communities, and that's, essentially where they get their clients from. But essentially from my side, I focused on LinkedIn. I obviously had a profile, and obviously I've listed all the things that I'm involved in. So every company that I've started, obviously previous experiences. So with that, number one, and obviously, again, doing things like this. So being able to share my knowledge and being on podcasts or being on webinars and, obviously taking that leap. I know it's super daunting, trust me. I'm not always the most comfortable online, but it's something that I have to do. So I got my voice and my services out there through using, like, so I was mentioning LinkedIn, podcasts and webinars. Instagram, I did it through my personal page. I want to say on Instagram, I almost did it in an organic way. It's like, oh, this was the behind the scenes of, being on this webinar or, launching this hotel for a client. Like I did it in that way. And then obviously I could tag my company and send people through to go and actually see what my services are that I offer. On my website, I used to obviously do the blogging and that, but I've kind of just changed my strategy slightly, which will probably launch in the next month or so. Again, being able to take news clippings and that obviously people spoke about me. I posted that on my website to help with my business's SEO as well. And then again with Facebook, for me, Facebook really wasn't a big thing for me. I had it because obviously it's searchable, but it wasn't so massive as Instagram was. So with Facebook, everything I just posted on Instagram, I kind of pushed back to Facebook so that it was there as in case anybody needed to see it. But that was my strategy essentially. So I used a lot of things like, essentially people being able to find me. So whether, your podcast was starting out or your webinar was just starting out, I would still join because at the end of the day, it helps with my influence. It helps with getting my name out there. So at the end of the day, if you're a business, look at ways that you can collaborate that can kind of extend your digital footprint. Are you doing giveaways? Are you using influencers? Do you have friends in the online PR space or with newspapers or their journalists that can maybe profile you and profile your business? Can you join networking sessions or exhibitions where you can maybe pay for a space at someone else's stand? There's so many ways that collaboration is, and I think I mentioned it as well, especially with the pandemic, how we've seen, business exchanges and collaborations happening so much more because things became so tight in terms of budgetary spend and that. So people are open to it. Obviously, again, practice some due diligence when you do these things. But there's so many ways that you can, and I always speak about it. I think I use the term quite often calling it's your distribution at the end of the day. You need to be in more than one place for people to find you because not everyone is going to find you on Instagram or find you on Facebook. They might find you randomly being shared by somebody on LinkedIn. And so that's what I'm saying. You constantly need to be active with your brand. And again, as well, if somebody can give me an example of their business, I can sit and we can unpack it, like where you should possibly be looking to put your business. But yeah.
Wow. Sure. Oh man, thank you so much. I know we haven't even started touching on the e-commerce side of things,
No,
but
that's
I mean,
fine.
I feel like there's so much that we can learn from you when
There's
it
so
comes to
much
the
in digital
digital
marketing.
market. Exactly, just on the side, because this is great stuff. This is awesome stuff, and I really hope that everyone who's watching and people who watch this later, just keep watching this over and over again, because I feel like there's so many practical tools that you can extract from this. Every week, even if somebody takes one part of what you said and tries to practice it every, one a week over the next month or so. I mean, I feel like already the business will be different, because these are things that
Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of us are not doing or were not doing before today. But I'm so glad that you're here helping us out with that. But maybe let's touch into the e-commerce side a bit, because sometimes we might not know what the difference is. Is it the same thing as digital marketing and e-commerce? So, what is e-commerce on its own, and is it important?
Okay. So essentially, e-commerce is the buying and selling of goods, both physical, digital, and services online. So your likes of a Takealot and Amazon, you've got your coaches online. If you go into Etsy, I feel like there's so many stores, Superbalist. So there's a number of them that I can rattle off. But for me, even if you're a service-based business, there is some form of e-commerce that you can actually implement into your business somehow in some way. Because at the end of the day, you also need to make it easier for people to one transact with you, because not everyone is going to want to come to a brick and mortar or come to your offices. Maybe people are sitting in another country and they want to maybe get your services online. So I can give an example just from my business before I obviously speak about like other clients that I've helped. So because I am technically a service-based business, a lot of my knowledge sits with me. People can pay me to, do a coaching session essentially, and I help them unpack whatever's, let's call it, broken in their business or where they need help, and essentially give them a strategy or an executionable like tasks essentially to be able to put into their business to get them to that next level. Sometimes may take more than one session, but that's an example of how I use e-commerce in my business. People prepay me for a session, and again, I'm delivering to you. Another one is digital products. So, for example, I also sell resources. So I do free resources and paid for resources. So, for example, my free resource could be, the top 5 social media channels to help an SME. But maybe my paid for resource is actually, these are the strategies you need to develop within each of these 5 platforms and how you need to execute it for your business. And I can tailor make it, and you pay for that specifically. Again, as well, if you are selling, I don't know, teacups from home, or if you make your own tea, my goodness, I've seen people sell the wildest things. You brew your own teas at home, and that's what you make, that you can sell online. I can't remember her name, but she started this whole fit tea thing like a couple of years back. She was I think she's Australian. And I mean, how she sold it was literally an envelope, like a little kuferki, like literally a plain
Yeah.
envelope. She had the leaves in there. So people always worried. This is another thing.
Oh,
People are so worried about packaging and it looking amazing. I remember when I started Coco Collection, guys, people will buy. If the product is good and you know what you're delivering on, it's okay, because at the end of the day, a business is that it grows over time. You're not going to be
yeah.
perfect when you start. I can tell you, when I started with Nuclear, doing social media for a company that I wasn't employed for was the hardest thing. I remember, oh my God, my first few couple of posts for the first month, I had my first client. I was like, this is not great. But look where I am 5 years later. Like, I can
Yeah.
look back at it and be like, it's okay. The same with people who start on YouTube, for example. I love when they show me, like, this was my first video. There was bad lighting. They had no effects. They had nothing happening for them. But that's how you start. You just have to start. And I think that's the mental thing that a lot of entrepreneurs, and I mean, like I said, I've been there as well. It's that mental hump. It's the same thing with the podcast. I just started. I was like, at the end of the day, people, I'm adding value. How it's being delivered is much of a muchness at this point. It will get better. But if I'm going to wait for a 3,000 Rand mic and some great lighting in a studio, guys,
Hmm.
no, no one's going to
Wow.
come.
No, I love that. I really, really love that. And I feel like, it touches the heart of what we're trying to portray here with the podcast, because, a lot of people have had great ideas, great concepts, and they were discouraged by, the idea of, like you said, needing a 3,000 Rand mic or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So I think to see or to hear from somebody who's actually started where you started and gotten to where you've gotten to, I think it's just, phenomenal. There's so much we can learn from that. And there is no longer an excuse, but to
it really
start.
isn't. There's so
I
many
like,
free
yeah.
platforms and services. And again, guys, even just like, let's call it YouTube University. Okay, I'm not big on YouTube, but I Google most of the time because I love research and reading versus video. So again, as well, it depends how you consume content. But same with Facebook ads, teaching yourself how to do that. I taught myself online through blogs how to build websites, and now it's a service that I offer. I build e-commerce sites because it's something I taught myself. So it really is possible. I didn't have to go to university to learn how to code. These are things you can really teach yourself. The same with social media, guys. We've got Canva. There are so many things that make it easier for you to put your content out there now. It almost boils down to one, Googling, and two, what is your, never mind your discipline, but what is your willingness or your wanting to actually go the extra mile?
Wow, no, that's brilliant, and it's a lot of us, are at the position where, at the crossroads where my business is right here. It needs to get to the next level. It's either pay someone to do it, or I, do it myself. And if you call yourself an entrepreneur or business person and you want to birth something or bring forth something special, I feel like, you definitely have to make one or two of those decisions. Otherwise, you're going to fail. And, it brings me back to the next question that I have, because you've just spoken about, so wonderfully about the things that a person can start doing themselves in order to get their business out there, to start their digital marketing journey. And then, of course, you also offer it as a service, right? So there is that option of saying, instead of me doing it myself, I want to pay somebody to do it for me. And, I just wanted to know, what kind of customer or what kind of person, would you advise to go the direction of getting, somebody like you, a professional, to do their digital marketing for them? Is it something essentially that everyone must be, working towards, like when you've got enough money, or is it that, one or the other, or is it both?
So for any entrepreneur, and it's advice that I had to take myself, and it's advice I give to everyone. Try to learn how to do these things yourself. Number one, only the reason why I say this is because by the time you outsource, you would already know, what you can't do and what you can actually take on yourself. So for example, maybe I can run my social media, but I'm really not great at ads. I can outsource that. So it really needs to come to a point where you need to actually see what you are capable of doing and not. And again, also it boils down to, again, being, technical in your business and actually running your business, because that's something I read in the E-Myth a couple of years back. It's one of the books I highly recommend to small businesses, because you do get to a point where you're wanting to scale, but you're stuck doing the technical work, you're stuck doing the social media posts, and you're not being able to really service clients because you're so worried about, your content calendar for the rest of the month. So I really want to say, really tinker, go through the process and see, and also at the end of the day, once you've outsourced, you also know what you're talking about. It's going to be very difficult for somebody to blindside you and say, and essentially BS you. I know you do get people like that out there that will literally tell you they can deliver X amount every month, and this is how many followers you're going to get. Guys, you will know by doing it yourself. You will know exactly what is possible for your business. And yes, there are people like me who can take your business to another level, but I always encourage them, and even for people who haven't done it for the first time and really want me to run things, I still coach them along the way, because it's like, okay, this is why we're doing X, and this is what's going to lead to this thing. And again, not everyone is like me. So obviously I always prefer coaching people, because I always say, God forbid I'm not here tomorrow, my clients need to know how to carry on without me. So, I always just say, I love to coach, even with websites. I'm like, I'm building your site, but I'm building it so that if you need to make changes on your own, you can do it. I literally try to empower everyone, from my clients to people that are do my one-on-one business coaching with me. Because again, like I said, I'm not going to be a forever, touch wood, but you need to be able to share that knowledge with people. So do empower yourself, guys. There is the internet. It is free. It's like I said, it's a willingness. You really need to want more for your business and for yourself. So yeah, but then there was a second part of your question that you said, at what point? So obviously, again, you get different, I want to say, service providers that obviously cater to specific industries. So there are those that help SMEs because they know the budgets are small. There are those that help middle enterprises, and then the Fortune 500s of the world. And then you get like a me who kind of plays in between, because I love SMEs, but then I also like money. So there's that. Because they willing to pay crazy amounts, always. But for me, I know my heart sits with SMEs. For example, I spoke to a startup as well last week, and they're like, no, we can pay. And I'm like, rather tell me what your budget is, because I know, and it's not me disregarding them. I've been a startup, guys. I know I can't necessarily afford the 1,000 rand an hour. So let me work out a package for you, because I want to help you, genuinely. So if it means for the next 3-4 months, we're working on a retainer of 3 grand a month, cool. Let's get you a place where you're comfortable, and then you start getting money, and then you can pay me more. So that's the other thing why I like working with started SMEs, because I grow with them, because I know you're not gonna, like I said, I know you're not gonna have 1,000 rand an hour. So let's find out what you do have and what we can do for each other.
Wow.
So I think
No,
it's a matter of
awesome.
just finding those people. But yeah.
Yeah, wow, thank you. No, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Because again, personally, I have had, that sort of a dilemma, where I didn't have time to do it myself. I had somebody, but it was so expensive. But I think the way you just broke it down is so great. So I guess the point that we can all get from this is that digital marketing is so important, and there are a variety of avenues that you can undertake in the particular journey, and also this added layer of either you do it yourself, using Google and learning, or you get somebody else to do it depending on your budget. I just wanted, just before we go, I know time always goes so
Oh, are
quickly
we
when
running
you're
out of time?
learning
I
new
was like,
stuff. But I thought this would be cool, right? Just to, as almost like a cool way to summarize everything, so we're going back to our imaginary company, right? This person who's, installing DSTV decoders, as well as dishes, so, let's call it Mr. Decoder, right?
yeah.
So they've got their business, and from what we've learned today, the first step is, identify who your target market is, who you want to sell to, and your price points and things like that. And then based on that, you choose the best social media outlets, right? That would be a first point.
Correct.
All right. Then from there, you grow by actually now starting to use things like Canva and other resources like Google Business Listing. All right. Okay. Let me do this. Canva is where you actually create your content,
Thank you, post and
and
stuff. Yeah.
then Google Business is where you actually can use to funnel through your content, basically, right?
There are updates and stuff that you can do in there. And I also want to just also add, so for example, with Google Ads, understand that Google Ads is also pricier in some instances, obviously, than Facebook and Instagram. So if you really are a small business with a tight budget, please do use Facebook and Instagram. They are great tools. If you have extra budget too, and this was something I mentioned last week in another talk I was on. If you have extra budget to test and being able to use Google Ads, 100%. You do get something called Google Ads Express. Those are for people who are very new, like again, small business owners who don't quite know. But don't use it forever, because at the end of the day, you're also putting the power in Google's hands. And at the end of the day, you want to be able to control your budget. You want to be able to control your cost per acquisition. And that's obviously just how much it costs for one person to transact on whatever it is that they need to do, purchase the shoe, for example. So, it's things looking at and like I said, we can go into deep chats about this, but there's Google Ads Express. Facebook or Meta as well does have courses that teach you how to advertise on their platforms. They have something called dynamic content. So for example, you can upload 5 images or 5 pieces of content, obviously all different, and obviously pushing the same message, and from there it will tell you which of the 5 is performing better and readjust your spending to maybe 3 out of the 5 ads. So there's things like that. They are I want to say built-in tools that these companies have developed to help small businesses. For those of you that want a crash course in digital marketing, Google offers one for Africa for free. It's a great course. I know a lot of people have done it. They also offer Google advertising courses. So I'm speaking from experience, because I've also gone through these courses just to also brush up. Don't also think that once you've done the course, you're done. Algorithms change, platforms change, trends always come and go. It's great to keep abreast. Sign up to newsletters. These are things I've also, recommended business owners to do. I've got, newsletters that range from data research, and it will, that can help me for potential businesses down the line for clients. I've got stuff for marketing. I've got stuff for podcasts. I've got for when I decide to be an author one day. I've got newsletters for everything. But it's great resource tools, because in the morning I can sit with my cup of coffee and be like, okay, here are my 5 mailers for this morning. Go through them, and I've consumed my knowledge for the day. So
Sure.
when I say it really is just you adjusting your life to be able to do these things, I don't want to say it's not hard, because I know there is a learning curve. There definitely is a learning curve. The same with building websites. There is a learning curve, but it's possible. So again, know who you're targeting, know who your customers are. I always give this example, and I use it in all my strategies. It's the golden circle. Why are you doing what you're doing? So what problem are you solving for people? Then it's your how. Yes. Essentially, what are your differentiators? What makes you different? What compared to your competitors, be it direct or indirect? And then your And that's essentially is how you deliver what you deliver. So be it, an e-commerce store, be it, there's obviously different channels, how you do what you do, but answer those questions, because that will be a foundation to assist you with the rest of your marketing. That's why I said chains can change, platforms can change, but marketing in itself is very foundational. It's how you've built the brand. Again, it will be boiled down to like, how do you want to come across online, and but obviously it might be a bit intense for Mr. Dakota, but if we're looking at Mr. Dakota, I would literally say, why am I doing what I'm doing? So for example, I've seen a need in my area, and there isn't a network of people installing, and maybe at an affordable price, and maybe that's your differentiator. You are affordable. Maybe you have better customer service than your competitors. Maybe you also have more, let's call it, like staff or employees that can install, and maybe your turnaround time is also a lot quicker. And obviously the what and how you deliver on it, maybe a little bit revolutionary. People can pre-book their calls and pay for it on their call out fees, pay for it online already, and they've already booked their call, and you've maybe digitized that side of it, just to make it easier for people to transact with you, because that's another thing. Find ways to make it easier for people. So as much as, for example, if you go onto an e-commerce site, there's more than one way to pay. It makes it more comfortable for me, who maybe likes paying with EFT versus somebody who likes paying with their credit card. They'll always like look at the psychology behind a lot of transactions as well, and on websites and that. So it's something that we were speaking about. Like, I'm now going into UI and UX. I'm like taking my knowledge even further, because I'm so fascinated by it, because I use it in my day-to-day, because I use it to build sites, and because I've like consulted on apps that are being developed. I want my knowledge to be backed up by, like, I want to say, more concrete theory and like psychology and all of that. So at some point you need to, like, I want to say, do the gritty work, understand why a button needs to be that color, and understand why you need to make five different payment gateways, because it helps people purchase easier with you, essentially, at the end of the day.
Wow.
Sorry,
I love no, it's okay. I really love the fact that we went that. I've got. Oh, sorry. Was I? Were you hearing me just now?
No, you can't. I was like,
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry, everyone, about that technical glitch. So I was basically saying that thank you for opening up your heart, because what we want, when we watch such things, when we sit down and say, I'm going to watch such a thing, you want to, soak in as much from somebody who has gone through the journey and has learned so much. And I really just want to say thank you for that. And just before we close, I just want to go through some of the comments that we have. Of course, we don't have time to go for more questions, but right here we've got Timbagile, who says, just give me a second. All right, says from now on I'll start signing up for newsletters. Sorry, I'm seeing somebody says there that I lost my signal. I hope I'm back now. And then up here we've got Wikitsi saying, sorry about that, I'm loving this. And then just maybe if I can take one more. So it says it's that time again where we get insightful information, and that's from Prudence Musubi. And yeah, so obviously, I mean, there's so many more. I wish I could go through all of them, but obviously, you did make an impact on everyone who's watching, and I just want to say thank you. We are out of time, unfortunately. I think this is why some people actually have to pay you to get a whole lot more of this knowledge, because I feel like it's so valuable. For me, I am going to go back honestly and watch it again. I feel like there's so many things you mentioned that are so awesome. You mentioned something there about, algorithms change. I'm sure people are wondering, what do you mean by algorithms? And obviously that you're referring to the fact that, platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they show content based on a certain algorithm that works in the background. And I mean, we didn't have time to go into that, but I feel like if people want to know more about that, maybe they can contact you directly or maybe become your clients. But right before you leave, just want to say maybe you can tell the people where they can reach you, some of your social media handles, and if somebody maybe wants to hire you or rather, get your services, where they can find you.
So I actually wanted just to actually recommend, thank you for giving the slot. I do offer discovery calls. It's like 30 minutes and it's for free, so don't worry. And just to kind of understand your business and kind of where you're at. So 100% open to that. If you follow me on Instagram predominantly, it's the marketing maven. So it's the _marketing _maven. Or my company, Nuclear Hospitality. It'll obviously be rebranded to Nuclear Consultancy soon, just because I'm actually making more accommodations for business coaching and SMEs at the moment. Just because, again, like I said, that's kind of where my business skills are at the moment. And yeah, it kind of feeds into a lot that I'm doing going forward, which I'll obviously make announcements on. But yeah, I'm more than happy to help anyone that needs help, or you just want to, I'll call it a virtual coffee. If you just want to decompress and, entrepreneurship is overwhelming, well aware of it. Happy just to, hold space for you guys and we could chat.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Guys, you heard it here. If ever you want to get more of this knowledge, you make sure that you reach out to Cleo directly. And as we said at the beginning of the show, the fact that she has won all these awards means that, what she has to offer is actually very valuable. And I personally would recommend anyone and everyone, if you do have the means, if you do have the budget, to contact her for her services. But Cleo, that's all that we have for today. We just want to say thank you once again and want to wish you all the best. We say here's to, 50 more awards in the next few years to come.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. And thank you for everybody that tuned in. Really appreciate it. That wasn't just the two of us chatting. So yeah, and thank you so much for the work that you do in Tokozo. Like, all the best with this platform and the entrepreneurs that you do reach. Please continue.
Thank you so much, Cleo. Really appreciate that. There's been more comments coming in, but
Okay.
I'll send them through to you directly. All right, then. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Wow, guys, phew. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. This is like practical knowledge and information that can help take your business to the next level. I know I'm going to take all those principles and apply them. A lot of them I didn't even know about, and I considered myself somebody who studied the topic. So that's the advantage of hearing from somebody who's doing it practically and who has been successful at it. So I really hope that was great. That is all that we have time for today. We are unfortunately not going to go into our second and third segments, again, because of time. But also, I just want to remind entrepreneurs that if you do have a business, this is a platform that you can use to advertise your business. Every week, we've got a slot to advertise 10 businesses every week. So if you want exposure in terms of your business, you can use this platform and send through your logos. You can send them through, you can, comment on this post, or, email me on dogozo@phillygreennet.com. Then I'm going to make sure that we profile your businesses and make sure that you get the exposure that you do need for your business. I mean, this is part of what Cleo was talking about, digital marketing is using such platforms, so as long as they're available, I would recommend that you use them, because as they get bigger, your business gets exposed to more and more people. But that is all that we have for today. I want to say thank you so much for joining us. If you stayed and watched towards the end of the video, I want to say thank you. I know you're busy, everybody's busy. So one more thing I want to say is, I do go live every Monday on Hope Alive radio station. I speak there for 30 minutes where we just basically take the topic that we discussed in the previous week and we just dissect it, and we take, some of the best nuggets out of it, and we just, get into it more. Maybe you forgot something Cleo said, or you want to know what are the most key points there. You can find me every Monday at 2 p.m. on Hope Alive radio station. I'm going to make sure I put the link to the radio station on the comment section. But yeah, I hope I'll see you there again, and I do hope I see you here next week. We have another awesome topic for you. Until then, I want to say thank you. Keep grinding, keep pushing, and I wish you all the success for your business.